So, when this idea first came into being, it was going to be, like I've said, a gathering at like 57th. We were going to possibly have a room, and we'd have a screen, and we'd play a few videos, and then the rest of the time we'd be socializing and dancing and stuff like that. When it came to being this event, it just kind of made my whole video idea become a little bit more challenging to deal with. But we're going to kick it off with my favorite time of year at Norrell. Does anybody guess what that is? Halloween. Where's my wife? I know she's cringing. She's cringing because when I put this video together, I thought it was a great idea. It was like, Norrell really liked Halloween. Everyone had a good time with Halloween. And I thought, hey, this will be a great little video, fun video. And then I showed it to Kathy and my daughter, and they looked at me and they're like, that's nothing but you. The entire video is nothing but you. So this next little video is kind of a tribute. Wait, did you guys not raise your hands? You're still in the video, though. So, all right, real quick. The story about Rob and Pam is I wanted them in the video because they are truly a Norrell couple. They both worked at Norrell the entire time, but they came to Norrell already married. And they're like, no, that we don't qualify because we came to Norrell. I said, I'm the one making the video. I get to decide. All right, so.
Love, exciting and your mind on a new romance. And love won't hurt anymore.
This next video was I call it the Norrell Spirit video, but not to be confused with another section where we're going to talk about the Norrell Spirit. But this is a video that I put together and asked for a number of people to record a few seconds, just to greet the crowd and say, hey. A lot of people really wanted to be here. They were very good about letting me know that they weren't going to be able to attend, and it was just it's one of those things that happen. And so this next video actually kind of is a segue into that. This is the In Memoriam video. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Smith.
Well, that was tough. I guess their wings were ready, but my heart was not. I miss that group, and I know many of you do as well. But anyway, I'm going to get a little bit more happy now, turn up the notch a little bit. I'm going to declassify some stories. I think after about 25 years since I've been in Norrell, I was there from 87 to 98. About 11 years, so I was age 30 to age 40. And there are a lot of stories. Guy, I appreciate it. I'll tell you that we all have our first loves, whether it's my wife of 42 years, but Norrell remains my first love when it comes to my career.
You know, I came to Atlanta in the fall of 1958, having graduated from Florida State. I worked my way through college selling cookware door to door. Had a team of 50 students that worked for me my last year in school. Go back to an early childhood. My father had to drop out of high school in the 8th grade, had a small service station. I was fortunate to have two great parents with great values. And you know, you're blessed in life if you have a good start, and I had a great start. My mother wanted me to go to work for Sears and Roebuck because she said they have a good retirement program and you're guaranteed a job. I said, Mom, thank you, but no, I don't think I want to do that. And thank goodness I didn't go down that path.
How about a big hand for Ralph? So you're going to have a chance to ask any question about any involvement I had with Norrell. Any question. Nothing's off limits. But I want to give you some snippets. We got 50 temporary help people on staff. Where is Jenny Stippig?
She's gone.
Okay, well, she's going to miss a great speech. So we got 50 people. We got 50 people on assignment, and I hear that NBC is in town at the Riviera Motel, which was like on 10th and Peachtree. And there was a guy there from NBC, and they're looking for 100 people they're recruiting at Emory to be data collectors, because in 1968 there was a computer system, UNIVAC in New York, and they had people calling in. Election, county results, county, they'd key it in, and then they would send it to New York. So we need 100 people. He said, can you do that? I said, absolutely. I go back to the office and I'm looking at this thing, Scott, and I say, how in the world? We're going to do 100 people, and I only have about 40 or 50 people on assignment today. I got to recruit, and this is coming up in like 2 weeks. A week of training, and then they're 24/7 for about a day and a half getting the data into New York. So I go home, I get to bed, I'm going to sleep, and I woke up with a nightmare. My payroll for those 100 people for that week was $6,000. Now, you don't understand, but you have to pay the people on Friday, weekend. And you might wait, what is the receivables, Kent? They would probably go 30 days or something like that. So all of a sudden now we've got $6 million out, and I don't have that much money in the bank. And we're going to bill them. So I have to call the guy. I said, you know, I love this assignment. We're going to find the people, but I need to give you an invoice. I think it's like a $8,000 or $9,000 invoice. And you got to walk it through your accounting department at NBC. And when I explained to him why, he said, okay, we can do that. So we get it walked through, and so we got the check from NBC on a Tuesday. We gave them the checks on a Friday. And thank goodness they didn't get to the bank until maybe Wednesday or Thursday. And so we were clear. And I got to tell you about Southeastern personnel, and I've got to tell you about two guys in Texas that wanted to take the business. And Bud Stumbach comes to me and says, they're moving the office from Friday to Monday to new quarters, and this was in the permanent placement business, and they're going to take all of our accounts, all of the clients, and they're going to take all of the possible placements. I said, well, let's get over to Dallas and Houston. The branch manager in Dallas, branch manager in Houston. So Bud goes to Dallas, I go to Houston. Back then it was before cell phones. And so I called the guy in Dallas, and I said, I need for you to be down at the Galleria Hotel. Well, they got to get on this fast airplane. It's the flight from Dallas to Houston. I forget the name of it, but it's a real quick flight. So they go out. So he's on his way out. While he's on his way out, I call the guy in Houston, and I keep him on the phone for about 45 minutes. He's wondering why in the world we're staying on the phone this long. But I'm trying to make sure that the guy in Dallas doesn't get to the airport, call the guy in Houston and say, why am I coming down there? So they didn't know why, and I called the guy in Houston, told him, meet me at the Galleria. They come in, and I said, I understand you're taking those files. Bud was in Dallas with a security guard on the door. I was in Houston. And they looked at each other, oh my God, what's this about? I said, look, we need to have it. And at the time, I believe it was $80,000. You got to have $80,000 in a check by 4 o'clock tomorrow, or else those offices are going to stay locked down, and you're fired. So I said I'd go off and have a drink, and I'd talk about it, and but you got to figure that out. Well, we got the $80,000 check. We got the $80,000 check, and so Bud was stunned by. We had a lot of great experiences. Bud's the guy that wrote the book, Do the Impossible. So don't forget to pick up that book when you have that chance. This is really when Ralph told me that he wanted to do this thing, and would I come out to Flight 57 or whatever it's called and give a talk, I said, well, and then he went on to say they were going to sell some kind of tickets for $20. I forget the tickets were something, $20 or $25. And here Jenny and I I said, well, let me host a lunch. Let's have it a thank you lunch for all the people that made this company what you essentially made it. And so we got so big that now we couldn't do it at Ray's. And so then Jenny and I said, well, why don't you do it at Tuxedo? So that's how we get to here, and Bill Garst and Wendy have done a terrific job, but there's so many stories of some near misses that we had. I was over in my other home on a Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Kent Smith doesn't know this. Larry Bryan doesn't know this, I don't think. But I get a call from First National Bank, and he says, I got to see you right now. I said, well, it's Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock. What's the problem? He said, well, I just got to see you right now. I won't tell you his name, but he's still alive today. And by the way, earlier Ralph said that we're here today, and it might be next time, some of us won't be here. I think he was talking about me. But anyway, this guy comes over. I said, well, tell me, Bill, what the issue is. Well, he said, you're overdrawn. Well, overdrawn. So this is back when we were prepaying workers' compensation. It was a big bill. And you paid based upon cash basis, not accrual basis accounting. So what happens is that we would pay that a year ahead of time. And it was like $6 or $8 million at the time. I don't remember. Anyway, boom, we were overdrawn. I said, well, do you realize our bank line at the time, I believe, was like $6 million. And I said, frankly, we could get a $20 million bank line from any bank in Atlanta. So what are you telling me, that you got this issue? I don't understand it, but I want to see you and your boss Monday morning at 9 o'clock at my office, 14, the building 14. They came over. I said, explain to me exactly what we're doing here now, guys. We're prepaying something to save cash. We could had a line of credit at 20, but we only have 6. So the issue is you haven't anticipated our financial needs. I'm going to be changing the bank. Sorry to tell you, but I'm going to give you a heads up ahead of time. And we went with SunTrust and stayed with them until the very end. So sometimes looking at the folks you deal with, and some of those experiences are terrific. 11 questions, and real quick, because I'm going to be quick with my answer, about Norrell, your place there, what happened to the company, what's happening here. 11 questions.
Well, Guy, Larry may not remember that story, but I
Robert, you remember that story. Thank you. That makes it legitimate. That makes it legitimate. Quick questions. Anything during your career, anything regarding the company, anything that was, yes.
Yeah, what do you think about selling Norrell?
Pardon?
Looking back, your thought about selling Norrell?
Probably a mistake. Big mistake. Another. I told you I'd be quick with my answer.
Guy, what was the first outsourcing company?
I don't know. Ron Self would be here, and he might be able to better answer that. But in my view, we probably had. Where's Ron? Is he still here? Who would be the first contract with Ron? Outsourcing contract. The $5 million contract. Yeah.
We were starting to get a lot of long-term staffing engagements with management.
Perfect.
It sort of evolved as
No long speech. Just needed this. So tell me this. So I'm telling my assistant. I said, look, Kay Sladen. Anybody remember Kay Sladen? Mark. Okay. Kay Sladen invited me to attend a PGA outing down in Sawgrass and meet some of the Fortune 500 companies that support the PGA. So I went down. I said, who's going to be there? He said, well, one person's going to be there is Ed, the CEO of Sears, Ed Brennan. Right. So anyway, I go in the cocktail party, and there's people here. You know, I side up to Ed Brennan. I figure I'm going to sit next to him at dinner. So when he walks into dinner, I walk in right behind him. I sit right next to him. It's who are you with? What do you do? Yada yada. When you come, you know, when you're in Chicago, come by and see me. 3 weeks later, I come by. I go by to see him. I tell him about our outsourcing. He turns me over to an HR person. Where's Nicole, HR, with the insurance company? Okay. He turns me over to HR. HR can't make a damn decision. That's the damnedest thing. So HR is absolutely opposed to any outsourcing. We know that, right? I went back to Ed Brennan and I said, look, because he, the HR person, supposed to call me. He didn't call. He did finally call, and he said, we're not interested. Pretty quick comment. And so I go back, call Ed Brennan. I'm in Chicago. I'd like to come by. He said, well, you need to talk to our financial guy. So we all know financial people. They're hard-nosed. They want to get cost out, and they're quick to make decisions. Boom, boom, boom. I talked to this guy, and we have a chance for a $5 million contract managing their mailroom and their distribution center in the downstairs of the building, as well as their switchboard. And so that was probably the first opportunity that we had to begin the outsourcing. Too long an answer, but somebody else.
I have one for you. What was your personal drive to create such a wonderful work environment for your employees for so long?
Hunger. I would say fear of failure. When you don't have anything, you don't want to go back to where it was. And so the good fortune I had as parents with no money, but they said, you know, if you're going to go to college, you better save $1,000 because that's what Florida State cost. And so I guess, and maybe thirdly, exposure. One of the things that I try to share with our management team over at the insurance company is that exposure is everything. Exposure is absolute. Everybody here, whatever you're doing, exposure. I met a young lady, Lee, and she's going to help Nicole be an advisor on our HR training and development and all that kind of stuff. So we get exposure to Lee and what she does and how she brings whatever that is. I had just great opportunities for exposure, and I would seek them out. And I would tell my adult children, they would come in with a thing in our study here, and they would say, we want to do this or this or this, and tell me, they would outline what they're going to do. And boy, it just sounded terrific to me. And I'm listening. And then they say, well, we'll see you later. I say, wait a minute, wait, don't leave yet. Okay, and they'd come back in the room, and I'd say, what did you leave out? And I'd say, well, I don't know. What are the 4 magic words? What do you think? Exactly. What do you think? Because I know what I think. And if I can figure out what you think, Lee, if I know what you think, now I know what both of us think about that particular subject. So, man, asking questions is probably the best thing that I learned in terms of a skill set that helped me.
And that was long but good.
It was long. It was long. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me, and you may get invited back. I don't know. So there's 4 more questions here. Okay, let me.
Guy, how did you think about franchising? What involved that?
I've always loved franchising, and our first franchise was in Marietta, Georgia, with Elizabeth Tomlinson.
Yes.
And Elizabeth Tomlinson had an employment service, really quality, and so she became our first franchisee. My next trip was to Knoxville, Tennessee, and I couldn't find anybody up there that knew how to spell it, much less interested in it. We then franchise didn't grow much. Our first 5 offices were Atlanta, Nashville, Birmingham, Miami, and Jacksonville. We developed a platform, and as a result of that platform, we were able to, noticing that Kelly had franchises, Manpower had franchises, so we wanted to be the highest priced. We wanted to be the absolute. We charged our franchisee more in royalty than any other franchise company in the temporary staffing business. And you gave a ton more than anybody else had done. So we had the marketing support. I mean, it was just terrific. So look, there may not be another 4 or 5 questions, but let me just say, it is an honor for us, for Jenny and I, to just to be encouraged by the sentiment of each of you. Y'all built Norrell, and I know you know that, and it's terrific.
Hello, my name is Mark Huber, and when I think of the culture of Norrell, I think of family. When I started with the company, it was 1986. I was a young single guy right out of college, and since that time, my 37 years with the company, I've gotten married, had 3 kids, and now have 4 grandchildren. And all of that happened while I was on the clock with Norrell, and it was just a great family environment.
I cut my teeth on professionalism, if you will, at Norrell, I came in as a payroll supervisor, and then I left as a payroll manager. Again, Guy allowed us to do things on our own, but then he was there to help us if we needed the help. So when we talk about culture, again, it was just unprecedented of what we had there, the people that we had, the success that we had, and the name that was made for the company of Norrell Corporation.
When I started at Norrell, I felt like I had the opportunity to come in and achieve something and make a successful career for myself, and I was led by the people that I work with and mentored by the people that I worked with to make that happen. When I left Norrell, I pursued much of the same type of work that I did there and have made a career and a business for myself since that time. And I look back all the time. I look back constantly with the people that I work with and know that we are applying the same principles that were driven into us when we were at Norrell.
Well, Norrell was a little bit of a crazy company. Every time we would have an improvement in sales or profit or something, we'd have a party. We had Norrell Olympics. We'd prop a bottle of champagne in the building when we did something really nice. So it wasn't your staid company. We all got together, we had fun, we worked hard, and we played hard.
The culture was exciting. It was a chance to be an entrepreneur, gave you a chance to test your limits, gave you a chance to do new things. As a byproduct, I learned how to be creative. I learned to learn great management skill. And the other thing about the culture is we had a lot of people with the same mindset of trying to be the best that they could be. And as a byproduct, it was an exciting growth period and an exciting time of my life, and I learned a lot.
I remember high performance, high reward, high fun, work hard, play hard. I remember it was okay to laugh at other people and to cry with other people and to be friendly as work associates as if they were your neighbors and friends. One other thing I'll say quickly, Guy, I never got a chance to thank you for one of the most embarrassing moments of my career. And that was 1990 at your Christmas party at your old house when you told about 150 people like we have today that we'd now stop and sing Christmas carols and that Jim Halling would lead the singing of the Christmas carols. Thanks a lot, Guy. I finally got over it with a lot of therapy and all that, and it's great to see everybody today.
So I had a lot of wonderful opportunities and different positions at Norrell, but what came through at all times was the culture. The work hard, play hard, care for each other kind of environment really made a difference. And when there was an opportunity, you raised your hand and said, I'd really like to do that. And you got that chance. Because it was a small company, we did everything. And that really helped me learn a lot about the industry and take advantage of every opportunity. The whole environment was led by Guy, and he was very involved in every training class that we had and attended, and he also was so generous with his time, always coming to visit markets. I was in Houston, I was in Tulsa, I was in Dallas, and he would come visit, show his support for what we were doing. It's a hard business, but you always felt supported, and that's what I remember most about the culture.
I had an opportunity to go through a conversation with Guy, myself and several others, about changes in the industry. One of the things I had learned from working for Norrell was the fact that everybody enjoyed working for the company. Nobody had anything negative to say. So I learned what the Norrell culture and the Norrell way really was. A couple of years after that, Norrell was changing their product mix. And at that time, I had the opportunity to be on a team that Guy put together to talk about how to, I will say, diversify that division, the computer and software division. So over the next several months, I had an opportunity to learn more about how Norrell went about business as far as acquiring companies, selling companies, creating companies, and that has lasted up until now, 2023.
One of the things that was very important in my decision to come to Norrell was its culture. Evidenced by Guy and what he had established over the years as the founder and CEO of Norrell. He believed in integrity, and that permeated the organization. You know, do things right, take care of your customers, put the customer first in all that you do, work as a team, be collaborative in the organization, And all those things permeated the organization daily, every day, every month, every transaction, every deal. One of the memories I have is I'd been with Norrell for about a week. Guy comes into my office and says, "Come with me." And I said, "Where are we going?" He said, "Well, you'll see in a minute." We went downtown to a homeless shelter for abused women. We went in, looked at what they were doing. Guy was interested in helping them any way he could. And so we spent the afternoon learning what their needs were, learning the kind of organization it was. And Guy turned to me at the end of the day and says, "Ernie, I want you to find every one of these women a job. You know, we are in the temporary service business, and so we want these people to have jobs, have hope, have a way to make a living." And that was one thing that represented what Guy and what Norrell was all about. It says, take care of your customers, take care of the people around you, do things high quality and do things with integrity. And I was proud to be a part of that for the many years in the late 1990s.
It was always like a family. It was always fun. I remember times when basically we had things where we had people that I got to entertain, in effect. One of which was at a meeting when I did a Winston Churchill imitation, another Blues Brothers, another guy talking about the Norrell team. It was a lot of fun. Both of those were fun. All of those were fun, I should say. And I really appreciate Guy and Jenny doing this for us. And I appreciate Ralph putting this together. And I like the opportunity to see a lot of my good friends one more time.
When I talk about the culture of Norrell, I talk about a high-performance organization and an organization of togetherness. That seems a little contradictory, but what I mean by that is we were an organization that was growth-oriented. We fight to get to 100 million, then 200 million, then to go public at 500 million, and then the $1 billion target. We focused on profits. Doug Miller, our CEO, used to say, everyone's a great person until you show them their numbers. We were focused at up and out and growing. It's not contradictory when you think about the togetherness. Our organization was open. We didn't message information to the organization. We told them everything they needed to go, whether it was at a national meeting, whether it was a district or a region meeting. We prided ourselves on unique differences. People in this organization, you accepted them. There were authenticity is what you would call it today. And feedback was the norm. Franchisees, if you wanted feedback, they were going to give it to you even if you didn't want it. These are the kinds of things that made us a contradictory but unique organization, and it's why we're here today, because we are Guy's legacy.
What I remember about Norrell that I loved the best was the opportunities that they gave the associates who might not have joined the company to do one position and then ultimately move to another. And the company really launched me into field management when I came in a corporate role. The culture of the company was everyone contributing to the best of their ability, everyone supporting each other, and everyone trying to operate as a family. So really thank Guy for developing that culture and giving me the opportunity to make a career in the staffing industry.
We grew the company 600% in 10 years. When I joined, we were 300 million. We got to 1.8 billion. And with that was just kind of a can-do, nothing can stop us, no challenge is too great mentality, culture-wide. And it was a very competitive culture, but yet a team-oriented culture. And I learned a lot from the people there, and I cherish the memories. And I hope you all do too.
The best thing about the whole culture of Norrell was the ability to be creative, the ability to work with a team that was the most enthusiastic group of people I've ever worked with. And they came up with some terrific ideas, and their work ethic was, and I've been in a lot of different industries, par to none. It was just fantastic. And
we went on to then outsource, and we got into the outsourcing business. We would actually go into companies and take over a lot of their functions. In fact, we went out to Sears Corporation to take over their corporate office in Chicago and run their staff. We started in the mailroom, and the first thing we did, which is kind of a cute little story, is we started in the basement where they do the mail, and they had an automated system. They'd get mail, put it in sorting bins, and then put it in tubs, and then they would go electronically up to the different floors. So we walked around pretending we were consultants with a clipboard, and the first thing we did, we saw a fellow laying on the copier sound asleep. We continued to do the whole investigation of where we could help them out. As it turned out, we came back down to finish it up, and the guy was still asleep on the copier, so we knew immediately we could replace one job. So that's how we started to get into Sears. We ended up doing the mail room, the computer technology room. We ran store sales in the computer room and even their paychecks. We did about 300 people that we displaced at the Sears corporate office with our people. And that was the advent of the huge outsourcing component that eventually led to outsourcing with IBM. But the biggest thing I walked away from with my experience at IBM is the ability to work with a team that I never had a problem with, that were enthusiastic workers, creative, and to this day, the best job I've ever had. With Guy's ability to let me create with the team that I was given, my experience with Norrell at that time was by far the best job I've ever had. So to all of you here, I'm glad we're reunited again. Stay in touch. God bless you all, and thanks for having us today. We appreciate it.